So, I'm sure many of you viewers will have seen our segment a little while ago with the Reverend Calvin Robinson on royal race grifter Ngozi Fulani's charity Sister Space. It's found itself in a spot of bother. So the African and Caribbean women-only domestic abuse charity have paused operations recently, saying that they've been harassed ever since she got Lady Susan sacked for saying, "Where are you really from?" while dressed like an extra from Wakanda Forever. Some digging, unfortunately, has uncovered some less than above-board activities by the organisation, and now the Charity Commission have taken notice. So we're going to go through some citizen journalist tweet threads and do a follow-up on the story, because it seems to be this is a case of Icarus flying too close to the very woke sun. If you'd like more Pan-African nonsense, you could subscribe to our website and watch me and Harry being subjected to watching Wakanda Forever.
I've not seen that yet.
Don't. It's horrific. It's to give you a taste of just how stereotypically painful it is. Wakanda's border, I don't know if you've seen the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you did your part, I guess. Wait.
I liked the first one, thanks.
The first one is an incredibly racist, terribly written film.
Oh, right. Oh,
Go and watch our review. It will change your mind,
right.
I'm sure.
All right, then. I enjoyed it.
So Chadwick Boseman, before he died, said, I identified more with Killmonger than my own character. And if you remember what Killmonger said, he said, we need to kill the colonizers and their children.
Oh, right. Yeah, that.
Yeah, he's Black Hitler.
Right.
Might be a small issue.
Okay.
In this one, they actually are accidentally more racist, because remember when in the first one you could walk through the Wakandan border if you had that lip tattoo?
Yeah.
That's gone. Instead, in order to open the borders so the spaceships can fly through, they have two men standing behind the border, and they play the bongo drums, and then the walls open, and Namor, who is a Mexican,
Right.
swims under the border wall, jumps up, and he is defeated because Shuri, who becomes Black Panther, dries his back out.
She's Black Panther now?
Yeah, she becomes Black Panther, yeah.
Right.
So she dries the wet back of the Mexican man out. Yeah.
No.
That's how the film ends.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyway, watch that rather than watching that terrible movie.
Oh, my gosh.
On to Ngozi Fulani's press release, shall we? This is reported by your very own GB News. She put up on Instagram, "Thank you for the continued support and messages. Unfortunately, recent events meant that Sister Space were forced to temporarily cease many of our operations to ensure the safety of our service users and our team. We are overwhelmed by the amount of support and encouragement and look forward to fully reinstating our services as soon as safely possible." Now, this was last Friday. I think it's fair to say that, as full disclaimer, you should not be sending loads of messages to this account. You should not be harassing it because, of course, inciting hatred and violence in Britain over the internet is a crime, so don't land yourself in any trouble, people. We also have UK BLM showing solidarity with Sister Space with their
of course.
incredible graphic. If you scroll up, please, John. There we go. I mean, graphic design is clearly their passion. So
Looks like a Mexican, old Western sort of thing.
the Good, the Bag, and the Ngozi Fulani, yeah. My ears immediately prick up as to the legitimacy of a cause when BLM get involved. Because,
yeah, fair point.
of course, I wouldn't like to be accused of being racist here, but they do literally steal money. So that's not good. And it seems like Sister Space may have done a similar thing.
Oh, really?
It's another grift.
Oh, wow. I'm really, really shocked.
Imagine my surprise, yeah.
That there must... I thought that she genuinely went to the palace, dressed like that, and was genuinely offended. It was attacked by the racist lady. I didn't think that there would be another agenda here.
No, there couldn't possibly be another agenda when they previously released a post that said, by the way, we won't report any black men who are domestic abusers to the police because we know what happens to black men in custody.
Oh my God.
So there's no accountability here.
Just painful. This is what racial ideology does to people. It makes them insane.
Yeah, well, looking at the deaths in police custody statistics, which are very low in the UK compared to the US as well, and even in the US, more white men die than black men in police custody.
Yeah.
But there's literally none for like the last 10 years.
Which is, whenever I say the raw statistics to people, they are genuinely shocked because the narrative pushed by the likes of, UK's BLM would have you think that black men are being sprayed by the police left, right and centre, but it's not happening.
No. So if we move on to this citizens journalism thread put together by an anonymous account, which I know you're thinking, why has he got a Pikachu image as his icon? I'm immediately discounting this. Weirdly enough, this account is also followed by Michael Gove.
Right.
So it must be someone in the know because this is very well researched and brings up all the receipts. We're just going to go through some of the tweets. So he starts off with, I've decided I'm going to write up some but not all of the things I've discovered since learning of the charity Sister Space and its members. This is going to be a long thread, so for the sake of making it easier, I'm going to limit the reply function. And he's done it in Thread Reader. You can go and read through the entire thread in your own time. He's done a third one as of yesterday, which I haven't had time to go through yet. But we're going to look at some of the tweets from the first two, some of the most damning indictments, and I'm sure there's more that I'll have to cut for the sake of time, but it's listed on our website as a source. So in tweets 8 to 12, he says, the trustee annual reports were being signed off by senior members involved in the charity, posing as independent examiners. So there's a first red flag, because the independent examiner is obviously not meant to be in the charity, as connoted by the term independent.
Right.
Named Rosanna Lewis, or Roseanne Lewis, Rose Lewis, Rose Muata, or Roseanne Muata. Now later on the thread, he said this was actually a pseudonym of Ngozi Fulani herself.
How many names does this lady have?
This is going to be a running trend for everyone involved in this story.
Whoa.
Everyone has multiple names on the books in the official documents that they gave to the Charity Commission. So they're marking their own homework under various of the same pseudonyms and thinking that nobody would notice as well. But seemingly, people within the Charity Commission and within halls of government who given them grants decided either not to notice or just all of them collectively, systematically, overlooked the clear errors being reported.
I think we
here.
know why.
I can possibly allege. So then a co-founder of the charity cannot obviously be an independent examiner, so this alone ought to warrant the Charity Commission opening a regulatory compliance case into Sister Space. On tweet 13, one of the other things that warrants investigation, the reports show a 4,703% annual increase in administrative expenses.
Whoa.
What were they spending all that money on?
Literally.
We'll get on that later. Sister Space began earlier than reported as well. It was in 2015, not in 2018. And for those 3 years, they only reported cash income to its reports. So they didn't file all the grants they got.
This is so brazen.
Yeah, so all the money disappeared into someone's back pocket, it seems. Tweets 29 to 31. London Assembly member Caroline Pigeon, I believe she's a Lib Dem, and she's got the EU flag in her bio, so says all you need to know about that. She cited in a meeting a figure of Sister Space's services seeing a 300% increase in demand since the start of the pandemic. Now, other figures were banded around between 250 and 500. I think the average was like 395% increase, right? So she got that figure from the reports that where the charities had admitted to not complying with Charity Commission rules. So she read those reports, saw where all this money was disappearing to, and ignored that part, but took their stats as given.
As gospel.
Yeah, and then said, and this is why they need taxpayer subsidies from the London Assembly. So she saw all of the financial malfeasance, assumedly, unless she opened up to a random page where the statistic just so happened to be and didn't read the rest of it, in which case that's incompetent governance, and decided she needed taxpayer subsidies.
Anyone would think that this was just deliberate incompetence. Anyone would think that based upon the evidence. Either that or just too scared to say anything because it's a black charity, let's just be honest.
It seems that they've been making quite a lot of capital off of that claim as well. So, in tweets 35 to 40, speaking of appearing as a black charity and many names, the author says here, I should clear up, whenever I write Ngozi Fulani, keep in mind this could also mean Ngozi Headley Fulani, Marlene Headley, Marlene Fulani, Mary Headey, Mary Fulani, Mary Headley Fulani, or Sister Ngozi. For any avoidance of doubt, they are all the same person.
Whoa.
So it seems that she changed her name in order to appear more African, but then gets offended when asked where she's from.
When people ask where the hell you're from. Like, to be honest, when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, that sounds bad. Then I saw the picture and I was like, no British black person dresses like that.
No, you look like a character from Coming to America.
Literally, you're dressed in a costume. Like...
when she went on Good Morning Britain, she had Cleopatra earrings on.
Like, and the thing is, and, you know, I'll say this, with a lot of these black people that sort of align with all this stuff, half of them don't even know the tribes that they've gotten these patterns from.
Marcus
It's all
Garvey,
just mishmash.
when he spoke about going back to Africa, was Jamaican. And it reminds me of a Patrice O'Neill bit years ago where he says, I always get told by racists, you know, go back to Africa. And then I hear black people saying the same thing. What was I, as a black American, going to do in Africa? You think I'm going to go over to Liberia and fight some goofy war with a machete? wearing sweatpants and smart shoes. I'm going to get killed on day one. I don't know how to be an African. I'm an American through and through.
Exactly.
And that's why Africans don't like me. It's like,
no, it's literally true. So you've got her who's clearly, I think, confused, wearing all this stuff, and then gets offended when someone wonders where you're from. Clearly, I don't know, she went in there with an agenda.
Yes. Now, this agenda happens to ally with an institutional agenda because she's been photographed many times with, I'm sure, our mutual favourite MP, Diane Abbott, who looks like she just got out of bed there.
I know, geez.
Out in front of the Sister Space charity shop. And the charity shop seems to be where all of this operation cost money is going to. It was originally called Maxine and Marlene's. I believe it's changed its name now. And they sell things relating to African culture. We'll get onto that later. Back to the thread. Tweets 44 to 45. Hackney Council paid for the charity shop and £35,000 worth of refurbishments in December 2019. It gave it to them rent-free, and they provided them 24-hour security. So they've had no operations costs in terms of the building, in terms of refurbishment. So when you said, are they making capital off of guilt over the fact that it's a black female charity, seems to be so.
Yeah, it's not so much institutional racism there.
No, well,
like
actually, they're celebrating it because the writer of this thread said, I've actually poured through hours of the publicly available CCTV footage, and it seems like most of their work consists of leaving the door open, which you would think is a security threat for women of domestic violence, and twerking loudly in the street with music playing. Like it's the Notting Hill Carnival.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
So, tweets 54 to 72. Their overhead costs may be increasing because they've been buying goods to resell. Such goods include CDs and books from Dr. Sandra Richards. That's Ngozi Fulani's older sister. Sandra believes she's an African god reincarnated from an older life, living among a weaker species.
Oh, this is just so embarrassing.
Watches from Mosaic, which is a dissolved business that owes hundreds of thousands to creditors. Its director is Kasai Antonio Fulani, also known as Cass Fulani, Cass Headley, Cass Fulani Headley, Kasai Fulani, Kasai Headley, or Kasai Fulani Headley, Ngozi Fulani's son, of course. Then Mosaic received a credit grant from Santander for £8,000 awarded to Dejan Headley, Ngozi Fulani's daughter, just to reflect, when I write Dejan Headley, the thread compiler says, this could also mean Dejanomi, Dejan, Dejande, Dejand, and Headley or Fulani, respectively.
It sounds to me like they're using all these different names so they can't be found out, to be honest. That's what it sounds like.
Well, all of their Charity Commission reports are filed late. Every single year.
Oh. God.
Yeah. It's a bit of a 419 scam, isn't it?
It just sounds like a big... Yeah, it sounds like a big, big scam.
Yeah, it's a slush fund. They also get clothing from Tobias Aziza, or Aziza Drummond, and more recently he changed his name to Tobias Fulani Aziza
there we go.
in 2017. And then there are survivor dolls provided by Maxine Clay, who's Ngozi Fulani's twin sister. Half of all doll sales are donated to the Sister Space charity, so it's a circular economy here.
Oh, wow.
Should we see what these dolls look like? Because we have a photo. Why would you want to buy that?
It looks terrifying. It's like something from a nightmare.
It does look like something from Annabelle, doesn't it?
Yeah. We've even got a white one there, though. Oh,
yeah.
that's nice.
Well, are you
that's
sure
nice
that's not
of
just
them.
Pennywise in the background, hiding like he's E.T.? All right, so back to the thread. Tweets 84 to 123. Sister Space, between the 26th of March 2019 and the 8th of September 2021, received at least £194,498 in grants. So the frustrating thing is, these are mostly taxpayer grants. So we've been paying for this.
We're paying for this nonsense?
Yep. A 12 grand grant from London Assembly to run a Survey Monkey poll, for which they used the free version. Where'd that 12 grand go? £950 grant on the 23rd of January 2020 was for Fulani's daughter to teach sewing classes, where people had to bring their own fabric and equipment.
They're not even...
Nope.
This shouldn't be funny, but it's like...
It's just an obvious grift.
It's but it's been so easy for them.
Because it's facilitated by a culture of cover-up, because you can't question this charity based on its intersectional credentials.
And just through this example, this whole sort of narrative that goes around, this country being institutionally racist. Well, the council is an institution of this racist country, and they've just been raking taxpayer cash in by virtue of being a black charity.
The reason they get so much from the council as well is because they constantly accuse the council of being racist. They've had multiple complaints filed, and it always ends up and we'll see later the actual statistics for it, with them getting an increasing proportion of the council's domestic violence budget. And the council's domestic violence budget keeps going up year on year on year because they're doing this extortion racket of saying, we're going to ruin your reputation if you don't fund us.
And just this is the thing, this culture that we've created of the entitlement. It is, as I said previously, just giving rise to just narcissists.
Yep.
And using your race as a cover for that narcissism works now. Because it's like, as long as you're black, you can say and do anything you want.
Because you're preying on people's obvious and fair fear. I don't know if the word is right.
Empathy, I'd say.
Yeah, to not want to be accused of or seen as supporting the abhorrence of racism, of judging someone as morally inferior on the colour of their skin. That's a completely fair instinct for people these days to not want. But that's being exploited by cynical actors who are grifting off the fact that polite people will not raise their head above the parapet so long as they don't get accused of being racist. And so you can just pocket all of the money which would otherwise be going to actual victims of domestic violence. That should be the key message here.
Yeah, including, black victims of domestic violence. But even I saw a tweet saying that this charity discriminates against mixed race people. There was one tweet.
Oh, is there colorism going on here?
There was one. There was
You're
a
too
tweet.
light-skinned for us to help
Yeah, no,
you.
there was a tweet that went viral, and because the victim was mixed race, she was being told that she was privileged.
This is like Monroe Bergdorf saying that even though I'm a multi-millionaire model for not being particularly good-looking, that some white guy on the street, former veteran who has drug problems or PTSD, is more privileged than me because if he did walk into a soup kitchen, I would be refused and he wouldn't.
It's that warped mentality that just doesn't make sense, and it's a mental illness.
Yeah, it's the ideological kaleidoscope discolouring your view of reality.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
gross.
I like the way you put that.
Cheers, thank you very much. I do get hired here for some reason. So there's a couple of other grants as well. £22,500 was awarded on the 27th of April 2020 by London Community Foundation for some MacBooks and iPhones.
MacBooks and iPhones.
Yep. I don't even have that, so nice work if you can get it. And £32,948 on the 11th of August 2020 was awarded by the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport. That's right, your Conservative government doing the work you elected them for.
Oh yeah, Conservative government, all right. It's a joke.
Yeah, absolute communists. So on tweet thread, 2.7 to 3.2, then we find out a bit more about Fulani's daughter, who's a vlogger. She works with a woman called Veronica Ogiambo. Ojiambo? Ojiambo. I'm terrible.
You butchered that.
I did, yeah, sorry. Of the Peter Ojiambo Foundation. I would recommend you not visiting their website because they're a listed charity, but when you pull up their website, it redirects to a porn page written in Mandarin.
No.
So something tells me they're not on the up and up. And then when you look at the number associated with their charity, because they have a page where they file all of their accounts late as well, the telephone number redirects to one that has been repeatedly reported as a cold calling scam number that has been guilty of bank fraud. So literal Nigerian prince scammers are working with Sister Space, using the same offices and using Ngozi Fulani's daughter as the go-between.
This isn't even funny, is it, really?
No, it's not, because we're all paying for it.
What on earth? And it's the fact that getting away with all this for years, she probably thought she was bloody invincible.
Yep.
That's why she waltzed into the palace and thought, oh.
Got an audience with Camilla. I mean, I wouldn't get that.
It's so... And to be honest, I think it makes me angry at the palace, actually, and the royal family, that why was she even invited is one thing. But then the other thing, that they just tossed Lady Hussey to the wolves, and now they look extra stupid because all of this stuff is now coming out. And they deserve it. They look silly now.
Yeah, you've pandered to an obviously disingenuous malevolent
Exactly. And
actor.
anyone, with half a brain cell, there's so many black people that were just like, we don't dress like this.
Yeah.
I would probably ask her where she's from as well. Because
I mean, to be fair, I did have to ask you to get changed in something more professional and appropriate before you came on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was in full-on African headdress. But it's
you had
like
a basket carrying around. It's just painful stereotyping.
I know.
It's just frustrating.
And she stereotyped herself, though. Even like
it's all performative.
It really is, and it's sad, to be honest, because not that I feel collective responsibility for all British black people, but a lot of black people are just very tired of being presented as these people that just look for grievance everywhere we go. And we don't all dress like that, and we don't all, kick and scream for being asked where we're from. I've been asked where I'm really from quite a few times, and I might say by a lot of, other people from immigrant backgrounds, like, not to stereotype, whenever I get a taxi, for example, the immigrant driver would be like, oh, so where are you from? And I'd say, oh, obviously here, I'm from Manchester, UK. Yeah. They'd be like, oh, no, where are you really from? And I'd just say, do you mean ethnicity? Tell them, and they're happy to tell me where they're from. It doesn't have to be combative.
No. It's just a superficial way of getting some insight into your life and making small talk.
Exactly. And to be honest, what's weird is, if you were so proud of this heritage that's so on display, you've changed your name, you've clearly got identity issues. Really, you should be living somewhere in Africa if you love it that much and you're that passionate about it. But if you're so proud of this background, surely you would jump at the chance to say Caribbean, this part of Africa, blah, 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 blah. You wouldn't automatically be on the defence ready for a fight.
Yeah, but it's pure power play. It's
it really is.
It's setting a trap for your ideological opponents to walk into, and then you can ensnare them and hoist them up by their own standards. The funny thing is, as well, I don't actually think she's African, because I did read in this thread, she was talking about reuniting with her mother in Barbados.
No, but this is the thing, like, with a lot of, Jamaicans or, like, Caribbeans are like, our home really is in Africa, despite the fact, we don't know where that is. Africa's massive, as you probably know. So that's just what's so comical about it.
It is ridiculous. So on tweet 3.9 to 4.1, other organisations also use Sister Space's headquarters, which, again, they're not paying rent for, including an anti-white critical race theory workshopping class, which provides books that tell white people to practice racial communism by saying, you've got to redistribute your resources to us.
Oh, no.
And there are photos of a guy who is reading the book with the shelves open, and it says... it's not why I'm not talking to white people about race. It's something very similar like that. And it's just, Again, we're paying for this. Then tweets 6.1 to 6.3 on the original thread. Says, referencing back to the matters between Sister Space and Hackney Council, including the mayor of Hackney, it is on record that many occasions this council was accused of racism and sexism for explaining that it cannot afford to give in to the demands made by Sister Space. Hackney Council, under Philip Glanville's mayorship, initially had a domestic violence budget of £286,000. This increased to £567,000 since he took office in his current role. Where's all that money going?
To Sister Space.
Seemingly so.
Oh,
They're lobbying for more and more and more with the threat of racism, sexism, otherwise. So on the second thread, we're just going to look at two quick tweets here.
She's making a fortune.
Oh, she's making an absolute killing. Yeah, at our expense. So, tweet 7 to 14. Interestingly, their use of black as an exclusionary category and directly saying, we do not subscribe to BAME, we are black women and it ends there. We offer services to other women who look like us, may actually fall afoul of the Charity Commission guidelines on racial discrimination.
Yeah, because that is just discrimination out and out.
Yeah. It's not talking about the political veil of marginalised groups and talking about it on class basis. It just so happens to be black. It's saying we have racial quotas, which itself falls afoul of my least favourite piece of legislation, but would be really funny if they got hoisted by this. I'm not going to hold my breath, though. Equality Act 2010, because you explicitly can't discriminate on the basis of race. Now, that standard only ever goes one way, especially with government departments.
Yeah.
But would be quite interesting if that is the grounds on which they're terminated, because using their own standards against them would be a nice bit of irony. And then tweets 46 to 48. They fundraised for a canal boat to house domestic violence victims. And then all they did was post YouTube videos of them going for joyrides on it. Now, I don't know if anyone knows anything about canal boat. Very small. So where are they all being housed? And throughout all of this, throughout them selling hair dye, throughout them doing fundraising efforts for a charity shop and that, where have you ever heard about any actual domestic violence victims?
I was wondering that. Where are all these people that they're supposed to be helping?
Yeah, and yet they're invited to the palace to talk on behalf of them.
Doesn't make sense.
Suspicious. So, I'd like to go on to this last little bit here. Emma Webb also decided to share a little tweet or Facebook post or something.
Oh, yeah, that's what I've mentioned about the mixed race thing.
This is what she's saying. Whether or not this can be authenticated is up for debate, but looks real. Ngozi Fulani says, our enemy is white. Right. So are we thinking that she might have had ulterior motives in getting Lady Hussey fired? Just maybe.
Yeah, just maybe.
Like
and
the destruction of the colonialist, white supremacist institution of the monarchy.
And she was just welcomed in with open arms.
Yeah.
Because of the royal family's desperate sort of desire to pander to people that would rather they didn't exist.
Average Meghan Markle fan, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, yeah, we've seen her tweets claiming that the royal family domestically abused Meghan.
Well, at least Sister Space has finally found someone that can help, I guess.
Yeah, Meghan Markle.
Wealthy princess.
I'm sure she'd jump at the chance.
White pill. Positive. Let's go on to this final bit. Turns out that the Charity Commission have now taken a look into it. In a statement, the watchdog said it was assessing material posted on social media questioning the charity's finances and organisation. The Greater London Assembly's finance chief has also been asked to ensure that grants to Sister Space have been used as intended. I'm sure. The charity's latest yearly accounts to March 31st, 2021 show it received a little over £357,000 in grants, project funding and donations, an increase from £50,000 in 2018 to 2019. Funding has come from a variety of sources, including the Greater London Assembly, Department for Culture, Media, Digital and Sport, and Comic Relief, which gave Sister Space £60,000 to improve its website and online support.
Website and online support, 60 grand.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
So to conclude then, nice grift if you can make it work. Let's hope these people's books definitely are on the up and up, and this is all just conspiracy theories, because otherwise we've all been had, haven't we?
And I think this opens up a wider conversation about the Department of Culture, Media, Digital and Sport, these other charities, just throwing money at things without actually knowing anything about them.
Yeah.
I think particularly with that government department, I think some people probably need to be held to account, probably sacked.
You think someone in the government department will be held to account? Must be your first day on Lotus ears.
Naive, I'm sure. But still, the point still stands. Like, it's irresponsible.
Yeah.
It's public money.
Putting all of our money to the most ill-gotten gains possible. We hope you enjoyed that segment for the podcast Lotus Eaters, and would like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. A great gift this year might be a £5 subscription to our website, where you can access premium content like this, mine and Harry's series Comics Corner, where we go over some of the most important graphic novels from the last 100 years in comics. Every Wednesday, second Wednesday of the month, there's a brand new episode, and this episode was on The Killing Joke and Arkham Asylum. If you'd like to see what Harry's putting out, you can follow Harry on Getter at Harry Lotus Caesar on Getter. Till next time, thank you and goodbye.